GIT graduate Jennifer Batten can tell some good stories about how a few phone calls can change your life.
Hello, you've reached Jennifer, La Casa de Riff. Please leave a message and I'll get right back to you.
Jennifer, this is Steve. Call me right away. I got an audition for you. Jennifer, this is Steve again. Call me as soon as you can. I have a great audition for you. Jennifer, you gotta call me back. All right, I'll tell you. It's the
Michael Jackson tour. Call this number. And so my first thought was, that's such a huge thing, I'll never get it, but I'll call it. It's pretty exciting to even be able to audition for that. And I called up and asked when the last possible time to audition was, so I could stay home and work on his tunes. And I hooked it up. It was about 3 days later, and just canceled everything, canceled all my students, canceled everything, stayed home, bought a CD player so I could hear all the parts real clearly, and went in, auditioned, and it turned out it was just me in front of a video camera. There was no band there, which was kind of relaxed, actually, and I'm glad Michael wasn't there. He was just going to look at the videos later. And they wanted to hear some funk rhythm stuff, because that's 90% of the show was playing parts and rhythm. And so I did something like that and went into rock solo land. Then I played the Giant Steps two-hand solo. And then since I had been playing it in top 40 bands, I played the Beat It solo, ended with that. And I heard he was going to look at the videotapes that night, and I came home from teaching at GIT the next day, and for the first time in 3 years, I left my machine off. So I thought, damn, he probably hired somebody that was home. It's over, you know. And it wasn't for another couple days till I got a call that basically was I willing to take a year and a half off. And I said, my bags are packed. Take me anywhere for any length of time. Michael had envisioned in his mind how he wanted the band to look. It was called the Bad Tour. He wanted kind of a tough look. And he hired someone to draw up a look. Then I went about being transformed.
She came walking into this restaurant, and I saw all this here. My wife was with me, and she says, "Is that Jennifer?" I says, "Yeah, I think so." It wasn't great.
To tell you the truth, I was so flying, so happy to have the gig. I didn't really think twice about it for about a couple months, and then one day I looked in the mirror and go, wow, I look weird. Because at first I had a severe mohawk that went like straight up. It wasn't shaved on the sides, but pretty much greased to my head. A lot of hair. And then I asked him after a while if I could tame it down a little bit and at least get a little hair out to the side.
She needed an image to project all of her beauty and intelligence and musical intelligence and imagination, and thank God Michael Jackson helped her to get it.
When Jennifer came to GIT, she met the man who was to become the biggest influence on her musical career, world-famous jazz guitarist Joe DiOrio.
For some reason, DiOrio is the one I connected with. And the very first part of school, all of them did a concert. I just remember listening to DiOrio and thinking, God, this is the most amazing stuff I ever heard in my life. I never heard anything that fresh to my ears, and ended up hooking up with him. I went to every gig that he did for the next 2 years and taped them and tried to listen to it. He was like the biggest influence of my whole musical history. I went through 2 of his books, Intervallic Designs and a book called Fusion, and memorized them cover to cover. So there's a lot of stuff that definitely sticks, and I try to just evolve it or make it two-handed and do it my own way.
I was the catalyst for her. She just kind of got some ideas from me and bounced off of it, and she's given me a lot of credit, but really and truly, it's really her own thing coming out.
Even before joining the Michael Jackson tour, Jennifer was hard at work with producer Michael Sembello on what was to become her new record, Above, Below, and Beyond.
The album was started like through different transformations and evolutions of Jennifer Batten. Like when I first met her, she was like really like amped, like aggressive, you know, coming from a really aggressive musical standpoint. She got the gig with Michael Jackson and came back like this worldly sage with all these different, I mean, it was like unbelievable. If that didn't happen, I don't think I would have gotten Jennifer to take half of the musical chances on this record.
Michael is actually great to work with. I wouldn't say, since we were friends, I guess we were on more relaxed, but still knowing his musicianship and the level of his musicianship, I was intimidated, and about halfway through the recording, I got to the point where I could just run things myself, and I'd just kick them out and just have him check the stuff later. But he definitely kicked my butt in a few areas. In fact, when we first started the record, he said he wanted me to produce. And I just panicked. I go, oh, God, I'm not a producer. I'm just a guitar player, you know, and I don't even know what to tell the drummer or this and that. And it was kind of a Zen thing because he did end up producing, but what happened was I evolved to a higher level where I go, okay, I got to make all these decisions, and I can't just like fluff it off and go, okay, help me, you know. I just took it to the highest level I could and really evolved and really started listening to other drummers and other bass players to really get the rhythm section happening in my head to know exactly where I wanted it. And basically he let me go where I wanted to go, and I would take it as high as I could, and then he'd come in and bring it to the next level with his expertise. It's a really touchy situation. Anybody that's got their own music, it's kind of hard to have somebody else come in and say, no, I want to change it, I want to do this isn't good enough, and this is, you know. But it was very cool working with him. We didn't have too many arguments.
I love to work with an artist that's more technically oriented because you get that, they get into that inner space. She would stay from like 12 midnight to like 8 in the morning and just not even take a break. I'd have to come in and like drag her out and shake her and throw her in the pool and, you know, put her head in the toilet and flush it a couple times. Wake up, take a break. You know, she just gets so into it. I mean, she'd go for like 10 hours without stopping.
There's a lot of different kinds of music on the record. It's not just one bag. I mean, it's like 90 seconds of straight-ahead bebop. There's Flight of the Bumblebee, a classical thing, and a hip-hop thing, remake of Respect, and a lot of hard rock. So that kind of encompasses a world of ideas. If you look at the cover, the whole vibe of it is kind of resurrecting the goddess era. There's Aphrodite and Venus below the water, and since there aren't that many women out there doing solo guitar records, I just wanted to bring that female aspect into it.
Here's a woman that can play. This is the first, you know, this is the first on record, you know, and being done right. And I'm not saying it's the first in the universe because I don't know what Mars or Jupiter has going. There could be some slam and female players there, but you know, I'm going to just say safely, this was like, okay, here's Jennifer Batten, basically, you know, like this is her story.
Every once in a while I hear somebody talking behind my back, or you hear the old adage, the girls can't rock and that kind of stuff. And I'm aware of that stuff, but it hasn't been directly in my face. I haven't had to deal with it too much.
Females, when they get ready to go deep, they go deeper than any guy can ever go. She's the best female guitarist, probably the best guitarist in the world, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, what she's playing there is really, really unique, special. And you don't need any hype to get it across because it just hits you, you know. So let's take it for what it is. I mean, that's Jennifer. I mean, when you start calling a person by their first name or the last name, when they say Jennifer or Bird or Train or somebody like that, man, you know there's something. I mean, she's just Jennifer at this point.